Okay, so this tutorial is going to talk you through how to embed quotations in your work. This is one of the skills that a lot of people find really tricky and that I'm always getting asked about, so hopefully this will help. So what we're going to do in this session is we're going to understand how to weave quotations into your work. We're going to look at some examples and we'll also look at what to avoid. And it's important that we get into the practice of embedding quotations, because in the exam, when you've only got, say, 10 or 15 minutes to answer a question and to weave in evidence, you need to do it quickly. And it also creates a fluent answer as well, which is something the exam's looking for. So firstly, what to avoid? Well, I'd like to call this sort of quotation the dreaded quotation dump. Okay. So let's have a look at what the dreaded quotation dump involves. Okay, so I'm going to use the same extract as we've been using in the previous tutorial, which is an extract from Heroes, analysing the character of Larry LaSalle. Okay, if you want to look at that extract in more detail, then ask your English teacher. Okay, right, so let's have a look at what this student has done. Let's read it together. We can also see that Larry LaSalle has authority. He led us. This suggests that he is a leader, powerfully. Well, okay, let's have a look at what this person's done. Quite rightly, they've got the correct evidence. They've made a point. They've said that the character's got authority, and they've explained their evidence. So what's wrong with that? Oh dear, the dreaded quotation dump. Look at that quotation. It's just dumped into the sentence without being woven in. Sometimes, if you're under pressure and you're in a rush and you're in the exam, that might be okay. But if we want to do a fluent answer, if we want to make it sound good, if we want to make our analysis sound detailed and fluent, we can't just dump the quotation in there. So that's one to avoid. Another one to avoid is the dreaded time waster. Now, this is a little bit of a hangover from year 7 and 8, I think. We had a lot of students who spend a long time introducing quotations. And in the exam, we're probably not going to have the time to do that. Let's see what this student's done. We can also see that Larry LaSalle has authority. This is shown in the quotation, he led us. This suggests that he is a leader, powerfully, and then the answer continues. Okay, so let's have a look. Again, they've got the correct evidence, they begin the correct explanation, and they've got a clear point. But in an exam, do we really have time to write out statements like, this is shown in the quotation? Well, it's not entirely necessary. Sometimes I even see longer introductions to quotations than that. So I'm going to talk to you about some alternatives to the rubbish dump and the time waster. Ideally, what we need to be doing is doing something called weaving in evidence. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. Say you've got a set of one-word quotations that you want to weave into, that you want to analyse. Let's have a look at how this has been done. Firstly, we see that LaSalle is a tall, broad-shouldered man with dazzling teeth. So you can see what I've done is I've put those quotations into the structure of my sentence. It flows and there's no sort of interruption. It's almost like I've used the words myself. They just happen to be quotations. Okay, so that's a very quick way of getting quotations in. One health warning though, make sure if you do include one-word quotations like that, that they're not done for no reason at all. Okay, if you do include them, they've got to have some sort of analysis later on in your answer. So that's one way to embed quotations. And finally, what you can do to ensure that they make sense is you can use square brackets. So for example, let's have a look at what this student wrote. We can also see that Larry LaSalle had authority when he led them. This suggests that he is a leader. Now, that's a lovely embedded quotation, but I ran into a little bit of difficulty because this quotation originally read, "He led us." And if you try to read it out like that, we can also see that Larry Lassalle had authority when he led us. It doesn't quite make sense. So I needed to change us to them. So what I've done is I've used square brackets to indicate that I've changed a word in order for the quotation to make sense. And that's okay. So that now makes sense and it flows. So to summarise, avoid dumping quotations into your writing. Try to weave them in. Avoid long introductions before a quotation. This takes practice, okay? And it's not something that comes easily. Try to weave in 1 to 2 word quotations, ensuring that they're actually analysed later and then you're not just doing it for the sake of it. Use square brackets to alter a quotation when it doesn't make sense. And finally, this isn't something that comes easily. A-level students, even university students, still struggle sometimes with how to weave quotations into their writing and how to embed them in the structure of a sentence so it doesn't come across as stilted and odd. It isn't easy. So you need to keep practicing and checking with your teacher and asking questions about whether it sounds okay and whether it flows correctly in the sentence. And it will take a while, but keep practicing and you'll definitely get there.